If you don't stop and take care of yourself, life is going to take care of you. It's going to smack you upside the head. I had a breakdown when I was 33. I had another one when I was 43. And I mean breakdown, like losing my shit.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. Change, just hearing the word, can be daunting. It brings about uncertainty, fear, and often pushes us out of our comfort zones. But here's the thing, change is inevitable, especially as we navigate the landscape of midlife. And while it may seem scary, it's also the key to unlocking our next chapter, a chapter that can be filled full of fulfillment, purpose, and yes, a heck of a lot of fun. And this is exactly what my guest, Patti Diener, is here to talk to us about today. She is here to help us as we explore the transformative power of embracing change in midlife. So if you're ready to dare into the possibility of what change has to offer, then Patti will lead the way, because she and I both know from our own personal experiences that the best is yet to come. So let me tell you a little bit about Patti as you're seeing her, for those of you watching the show on the screen. Patti is an author, an entrepreneur, and a seeker of the best life possible. Taking early retirement at age 53, Patti made the choice to live a more fulfilled life rather than the status quo that was expected of her. She created a place for midlife people to connect and feel seen with her podcast and her community called Beautiful Second Act. Now, after almost 3 years, she's made another shift, another change, listening to her true calling. Patti writes full-time and is opening up to new adventures in the writing community. Patti, welcome to Beyond Empty Nest.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Jody. That was beautiful. And yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
Well, and I meant what I said. I mean, Patti and I go back. We met. Did we meet through the coaching program I was in, or how did we meet? We met through somebody else.
I think we met through maybe Clarissa through Painting Your Path. I'm not sure if that was, but I'm going to give Clarissa the credit anyway.
Let's give Clarissa a shout out. Clarissa,
it's been a while.
She was a guest on my show. I think it was in season 1. I will find that out for you all and put it in the show notes. But we've been entrepreneurial friends for a couple years now, and you're going through yet another shift and change, daring to make a different choice. So before we really dive into change and how to make it and why it's okay, and give some really good tips for our audience as they're embarking on their next chapter, share a little bit of your background.
Sure, thank you. So yeah, I'm a retired public school librarian. I'm 56. Well, I'll be 56 in a couple weeks. And it wasn't easy for me. It's never been easy being me. I have that monkey mind that a lot of us have, where I don't feel comfortable staying in any one space for a really long time. I've done lots of different things over the course of my life. I never picked one particular lane. I worked for a pediatrician until I was office manager, and then it's like, that's the top of the game you can go, right? Then I opened a daycare and I stayed at home. I was a stay-at-home mom raising my family. Then when I felt like my kids were comfortable enough to where, they knew how to do homework and that they were doing all right, my husband, who, bless him, he was a shift worker. He did, he was firefighter at the time. And he was doing shift work. So he would 2 on 4 off, which really gave me a lot of leeway. I opened up a day spa. I was the first person in my community to open a day spa. So I live in Lake County, California, which is about 45 minutes north of the Napa Valley. Everybody knows where the Napa Valley is, right in California. And I was tired of driving over the mountain to get these services that we didn't have in my community. So we're very rural here. And I opened a day spa. fast forward, husband ends up being promoted through in the fire department service, and he's now battalion chief. So he has to work 40 hours a week. Kids need you, so they were not old enough to do everything on their own yet. I came home and I was like, okay, what can I do that would serve me to also serve my family? Are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm doing all these things that work around other people's lives, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
I became a public school librarian because you get all the days off the kids get off, you get the holidays, no, you don't have to work nights and weekends. I loved that because I'm a writer. All right. I've been writing since I was a child. I've always aspired to publish a novel, but I kept putting myself on the back burner, on the back burner, on the back burner. What I did find out is two things. One is if you don't stop and take care of yourself, life is going to take care of you. It's going to smack you upside the head. I had a breakdown when I was 33. I had another one when I was 43. And I mean breakdown, like losing my shit. Hope we can say shit on this show.
You can say shit. You can say anything you want on my show. I embrace foul language.
Here, lady. So, yeah, I really, I ended up, but when I was 43, I ended up on antidepressants because even though I was having this job that was wonderful, loving, being like, I think it's very cliche, the librarian that wants to be an author. So I was good for a while until I realized I am getting close to the age where my kids are leaving, right? My kids are going to be grown, they're going to be gone. What about me? When was I going to put myself first? So, as Oprah would say, that's my aha moment is when are you going to start serving your own needs? And, people treat you the way you teach them to treat you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's the truth. And even your own family members, they come accustomed to, especially moms, hello, moms who dare, right? Moms are always the gatekeepers, right?
Yeah, I'm writing that people treat you the way you teach them to treat you.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
so
People
true.
do. And it's not through anybody's fault but your own, So if you've always been the go-to gal in your family and suddenly you make a shift that is going to blindside them because they don't recognize it and they don't understand it, you have to give them a little bit of grace to be able to come on board with it.
Right.
So if it took you this many years to get to where you're at before you finally stand up for yourself, it may take others a little while to figure it out and come on board too. But when you explain that, hey, I may be a mom, I may be a wife, I may be a community, person who, is a volunteer and does all these things, but I'm also a human being with my own needs and my own wants and desires. And I have got to stop apologizing for myself. And I've got to learn to say no if something doesn't feel good. And so here I am, almost 56. At 53, I decided to put in for my early retirement through the school district. Everybody was looking down their nose at me like, who are you at 53 to retire? And not only that, but you're not going to get all the stuff out of it that you didn't put in enough years. And so you're not going to get enough bang for your
Like that
buck.
fear of loss, the fear of loss.
Yes. The fear of, it's like, just because this is status quo for most people, just because, you're supposed to put in the 20 to 30 years before you go out on retirement, it doesn't mean that that's right for me. Thank you very much, but for your unsolicited advice, but I have to do what's right for me. And I really hope that you will love me enough to support my decision. And when people started figuring out, oh, wow, she's really going to take a risk, but how brave of her for taking a risk. And then I thought to myself, what can I do to support that feeling for some of my friends who are also feeling, oh, I could never do that? Well, sure you can. It's scary because it's change. And in 2020, we all know what happened, right? The world came to a screeching halt. That's when I had my opportunity to really reevaluate. What did I want out of this life? I mean, here's my narcissistic brain. I thought that 2020 was all my fault. I'm sitting here thinking, I kept asking universe, I need to make a change, but I don't know how to get out of this situation. I had the comfort of a perfect job. I had the comfort of knowing when my paycheck was going to come in.
Right.
My
You
husband,
had certainty.
it was certainty. It was something I could count on. And my husband was like, are you sure you want to do this? When I proposed the idea of, hey, I'm thinking, now this was May of 2020. I said, I think that next year is going to be my next year, my last year. So, but you're only going to be 53. Yeah, but I think this is going to be my last. Okay, if that's what you really want. And when I did it, planned. You have to have your exit plan. And I
Yes,
think that that is a
absolutely.
really great goal for people when they know they want to make a shift, is to have an exit plan. It gives you a little bit of feeling that you're in control of something, even though we're not always in control of everything. But having an exit plan gave me that feeling of, I don't know what's going to come next afterwards, but I do know what I want to do to get there, to make, I needed to have something that would tell me how much money I was going to have, figure out what it is that I wanted to do. And if I needed to go get another job, I would have, but I didn't. And I started Beautiful Second Act because I wanted to support other people that made me feel so empowered, like the people I listened to, Brene Brown,
God.
Deepak Chopra, I have
I'm
the
saying,
list, Dr. Wayne Dyer, people that tell you that it's okay to make a shift. And when I heard all these people speaking in my brain through podcasts and watching YouTube videos and getting all the inspiration that I needed, I realized, okay, it's my turn to give back to somebody else. So that's when Beautiful Second Act was birthed.
Patty, I'm like the drop in the pen for drop a mic moment. That's what you're drop. You and I, we've had conversations. This is the first time I heard your whole story. We are like sisters that didn't from different coasts, because for the same reason you started Beautiful. First of all, backtrack. I too thought I caused a pandemic. I just shared this with a friend because I used to say, if the world could just stop, if the world would just come to a stop just for like 2 days, a week, then we would all stop. I could stop and I could breathe. And then the world stopped for months and years. So yeah, so I was a little bit, oh my God, what did I wish for? And then the second thing is, I too started Moms Who Dare, the podcast, my speaking, bringing my personal growth, coaching and mentoring, because I too wanted to give back what I was learning from all those same great people. I was going to conferences and women's empowerment events and network marketing conferences where men and women were taking the stage. I'm like, and every time somebody spoke, I had another aha moment. I'm like, oh, I want to do that for my moms, because I was the same. My kids were getting ready to leave. And here I was scared out of my mind, but having the best time of my life. And I wanted to dare other moms to do the same. So very, very similar stories. And like you, I chase shiny objects too, which can make you very tired. But but I think, okay, so let's talk about that, because we both have that in common. It's not that change isn't scary for us, because there's certain things I don't like change around. And yet, because we chase shiny objects, what do you say to that person who's listening that says, well, change is easy for you. It's easy for you. And, and then address the whole, you just told your story. So I don't think we have to hit this over the head, but it's never too late. You're never too old, right?
No. And for the same reason I was looked down upon at retiring at 53, saying I was too young, there's also this thing of feeling too old to start something new. But I've never been that personality where I felt that starting something new is bad. I always thought life is too short to do any one thing forever, because there's an adventure around every corner. And this may seem a little bit contradicting, but because I am a very cautious person, I like to know what's coming. I've had to learn to get outside my comfort zone of my fear-based thinking, saying, I need to know what comes next, to realize we're not in control of any of this shit. We are not in control. So we might as well let go and enjoy the ride, because it is an adventure. Even when you have loss, not knowing what comes next is hard, and it's grueling, and it can be, it can turn your world on its axis and on a spin the other direction. It's just so hard to know what to do. But if you're still long enough, if you sit still long enough and you listen to your inner knowing, you always know, what your heart's telling you to do. It's whether we're brave enough to take that one next first step towards what our heart is telling us to do.
Yeah.
That's the key, is being brave enough to listen to your inner knowing and to actually take action, because it can be scary. It can be really, really frightening, because you don't know if you're going to make it or break it, but that's part of the journey, right?
I
Is
mean,
just getting out there and living your true life, being your truest self, and enjoying the ride.
I like that because what you're saying, you're basically saying that being scared is no reason not to try something new. And here's what I learned this in sales as my years in sales. If you don't ask for something, the answer is still no. I
Yep.
mean, the answer is no. If you so you're not going to be set back. It's just your ego. And if you can release, this is the hardest, I think this is one of the hardest lessons ever in life, to let go of the outcome, release it, and to accept a yes or a no just for what it is, a yes or no, that it's not a personal affront. Because when I was in sales, I had to learn pretty quickly that I was going to hear a lot more no than I was going to hear yes, and it had nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I get comfortable with no, because if you don't do anything, it's just no, and you'll never know. Because eventually you get to a yes. There's a great book on that too. It's called Go for No.
Yeah, I love it. Well, no is also a blessing because I
Yes,
actually feel that no is what points us in the right direction. We
correct.
may have thought we knew the direction we needed to go. And if we keep running into a wall, that's your answer. You keep running into that same wall, but you keep trying in that same direction, thinking, well, I'm going to bust through eventually. Maybe the easier path is the one you're supposed to follow. And maybe universe has been trying to show you all along, but you're too damn stubborn to
Yeah.
take a hint. It's like
I like
follow the breadcrumbs, pay attention. The universe is always talking to you. Gabby Bernstein has a book called The Universe Has Your Back.
Yes.
Absolutely true. And if we are really in tune with what is going around, I really don't believe in coincidence. I believe
No.
that you and I, Jody, met for a reason. I believe that all of the people I've reached in my life, I have met for a reason. And so it's just about paying attention to what's happening around you.
It is, and I just did this for somebody else's podcast. A quote that my step grandmother Nana Brown used to say, "Never be sorry for no," for exactly what you're saying is so. If we can get out of our ego space of hurt feelings and thinking it's all about us all the time, and not in a mean way, but and not taking things personally. And if something doesn't turn out the way you planned, or a plan gets canceled, oh, I wasn't meant to, that, that wasn't meant to happen. Something
Right.
better is waiting. Something better is waiting. And you and I both believe that. So I love that. I love that. So being scared is not a reason not to try it. Grab a friend, hold hands with your bestie, grab that wing woman or that wingman in your life, and jump in scared with that person, and find that
Yeah.
one person who's your biggest cheerleader. I'm every one of my friends. I was a cheerleader in high school, and I know why. I know why, because I'm everybody's biggest fan. If I believe in what you're doing, I will be the front cheerleader on the sidelines cheering you on every step of the way, whatever you need. And I'll also dare you not to give up. So yeah, I
Fantastic.
love
And
that.
yeah, that's a beautiful thing to say too, because if you don't find your high vibe tribe, you're going to end up with the people that are going to suck the life out of you. So
Yes.
it's really important to have those people in your corner. Find someone that's done it, whatever it is that you want to do. Find someone that's done it before you better. And in the best, Tony Robbins talks about that a lot too. Find someone that has done it the best in the field, whatever it is that you want to do, and find out what they're doing that's working.
Yeah.
And they're trailblazer for a reason, but it doesn't mean that you can't take your own machete and make your own damn way too.
Right. Right.
It gives you the strength to know that it can be done. And then glean what you can, glean the information off of these people that are your high vibe tribe and say, okay, that might work for me or that might not. But you find what does and you glean from them the information that's going to work. And then you move forward, gives you confidence.
I love that. I love that. Do it scared. All right.
Yes.
So I love this. You said something when we were talking about what you were going to talk about. You say, stop betraying yourself just to please others. And we kind of touched on that a little bit already, but because that's going to lead into the big dare at the end of this episode. So just
Yeah.
talk a little bit more into stop betraying yourself just to please others. And we did touch on this in the beginning, but I want them to hear this.
Yeah. It's so easy for us to do the thing that we feel is expected of us, but inside you might feel like you're dying.
Mm.
I mean, you could feel like, for me, I felt like my time was running out. I'm running out of time. As we get into midlife and beyond, we have a finite amount of time on this earth. you have a responsibility to yourself, and you're not really serving the people that you love the most when you're not giving them your true self.
Mm.
So if you don't stand up and stop betraying yourself by doing the things you think you should be doing, like my friend Dana, she always says, stop shoulding all over yourself.
Yeah.
Do the things that you feel you really, that your heart is calling you to do. And those that love you and that want to support you, they'll figure out a way to get behind you. And if not, then they may fall by the wayside. And that is really hard when you don't stand up for what you want because you're so afraid of letting someone else down. But then who at the end of the day are you really serving up for them? You're giving them a false person. You're not giving them your true self. They deserve your best. You deserve your best. And it's okay. It's frightening if you've been another personality for a really long time, though, or maybe your purpose has changed over the years and you know you have a new purpose now. Stand up for what's right for you. Those that love you will be there for you.
I have nothing to say to that. I'm not saying a word, because that is the perfect way to end the episode and lead into the daring dare that you are offering our audience. Because Patty, nobody gets out of Beyond Empty Nest without a dare to the audience. Are you ready?
Sure.
Your dare. Do you remember what your dare is?
Yeah. Let's see here. Ask yourself this burning question. Okay, people. Am I brave enough to disappoint others in order to stop disappointing myself? Am I brave enough to stop? Am I brave enough to disappoint other people, to disappoint others in order to stop disappointing myself? It's betrayal to yourself.
Yeah.
Are you brave enough? I dare you to ask that true burning question, because that's where the change happens.
Yeah. And make sure that you have a piece of paper, a pad of paper, a journal with you when you ask that. Write the question down. Write it. Read it while you're writing it. Answer it. And then let it flow. I'm going to add a double dare to that. Let it flow, because you're gonna start writing down your dreams. You're going to start writing down what it is you really want. You're going to open, and even if you don't know in that moment, even if you simply write, I love this. Am I willing to disappoint others in order to stop disappointing myself? Yes. Just that answer, and sit with it. The universe is now going to show you people, possibility, and opportunity, and they're going to put it in your path. Now you're ready to receive it, right?
Absolutely.
I love that
Ask, believe,
question.
receive. Ask,
But
believe, receive.
questions are the most powerful way to gain clarity, isn't it? I love that. So
Absolutely.
thank you for daring the audience to ask a question. Thank you for being part of Beyond Emptiness. This was an amazing conversation. I know so many women in the audience are going to hit rewind because there were so many golden nuggets and one-line statements that you said that are powerful, that can wake us up from heading down the wrong path and waking us up to our own brilliance and really what does light us up. And I know that you're somebody who's walking that walk right now. And we'll drop this in the show notes, but I'm excited. Tell everybody about your romance novel, because
Well,
writing is what lights you up, and now you're really doing it again.
yes. Well, I wrote just before the pandemic, I wrote and published After the Fire, which is a romance novel based on the true events of the 2015 Valley Fire that happened here in my community in Lake County, California, where over 1,000 homes burned. And my husband was battalion chief during that time, so I didn't see him for 3 days. So you can imagine I couldn't get that book out of my head. So I wrote that, published that, but then, the world came to a stop and I had to find myself, and I had Beautiful Second Act. And when I did Beautiful Second Act podcast and the community, it took up a lot of my time, but it was a beautiful journey, and it was part of my calling. And now I've come back to, what do I truly want? And I had to disappoint others in order to, really stop disappointing myself. When you find that you may be doing something that might have served you for a little while, but you have to make a shift. I made a shift. I'm writing full time again. I've got 2 new manuscripts ready to query agents. I'm reaching out right now for representation, and I'm just writing like crazy. And yeah, you guys can find me at pattidienerwrites.com. You'll have links, and it's been so much fun. It's just pouring out of me now. I'm following my true path.
Because you opened up the flow. So thank you, Patty. Yes, everything you need, the dare and all the links to connect with Patti and learn more about her books and all she does is below in the show notes. And you know what I'm going to say, you know what the purpose of this podcast is. It's for you, our audience, our listeners, to walk away with just one moment, one tip, one strategy, one aha from every single guest, because every single guest has left you with an aha. And there were so many of those moments in this conversation. So what was it during this conversation about embracing change that did it for you? Let us know. Send me a message, send Patti a message, leave us a review. I will make sure if you leave a review that Patti sees it and she gets a copy of it. And it helps us reach other women. It pushes the podcast out more when you give us a review. 5 stars are always welcome, and a written review is always welcome. Just saying. But again, thank you, everybody. And thank you to our audience. And don't forget, we'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Beyond Empty Nest. And as I always say it with me, everybody, dare on.
Dare on.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Empty Nest. For detailed show notes and more information, be sure to visit jodisilverman.com. Have you heard of the Double Darers? Well, we're a community of moms and midlife women blending virtual and in-person interactions for connection, support, and exciting experiences. From Mommy and Me classes to soccer sidelines, moms have always found strength in community. And as we navigate the empty nest and other midlife transitions, having that go-to safe space and other women to lean on is a must. Ladies, this is not the chapter to do it alone. Our drama-free group echoes the sentiment of the Cheers theme song, a place where everybody knows your name and our troubles are all the same. If you've been seeking connection and have a desire to figure out who you are and what your purpose is now, then Moms Who Double Dare is the perfect fit for you. Only through the link in our show notes below can you explore and enjoy the first month at half off. Plus, with no contracts, there's zero risk involved. Join us today and get started on your journey of self-discovery, surrounded by new friends who understand and get you. You've sent your kids off to brave new experiences, meet new people, and discover who they get to be. Now, it's your turn. It's your turn to embrace this new adventure. If you're ready to dare on, I'm here to lead the way. Let's embark on this exciting journey together. Click the link below, and as I always say, dare on.